Hey everybody, JR from JrZ CarZ. Today I'm going to show you how to change the coolant bypass valve on your 2013 to 2016 Ford Escape with the 1.6 liter turbo engine. If your check engine light comes on and what you're getting is a P26b7 code, it's a really oddball kind of code there, it's going to be your coolant bypass valve. It's unfortunate because it is a part that you will probably end up replacing multiple times during your ownership of the car. It's just a piece that keeps going bad. It's not a very well manufactured part from what I understand. Basically what it does is it's for emissions. It's a bypass valve similar to kind of what a thermostat would do with your car, but it works a little bit quicker to heat up the coolant inside your engine, so that way on a cold start it brings the engine up to temperature quick and it reduces the emissions in the engine. So it's an electronic part like every other car that's recent. They're like rolling computers at this point, so it's fairly simple to replace. So it's really not that bad. The part itself is about $55, somewhere around that. So I'm going to show you how to replace it. We'll get at that right now. All right, so one of the first things you want to do is you want to get the car up in the air, because you're going to have to drain out some of the coolant here, because what we're looking to get is underneath here, and obviously it's part of the cooling system, so we want to make sure that the level of the coolant inside the radiator here is below the hose, so that way it's not just going to be spewing out coolant here. And that drain is down here on the driver's side, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second here. But first thing you want to do is you want to pull your cap off. I already pulled it off. I just leave it on top just so nothing big gets in it, so it's not there, it's not creating any kind of vacuum or anything like that. I do have to preface this just to be sure. This has to be done on a cold engine. Do not run this engine for any amount of time before doing this. If you run the engine, you should definitely give it enough time to cool off before you do anything with this, because you do not want A, pressure, or B, the heat of the coolant burning you when you take this off. Okay, so next thing that you definitely want to do is you want to take off this cover here. Basically, it just there's a little clips in there. You want to give it a good tug. There's a couple clips in here, one on the side over here. Want to get close to it so you're not breaking it. There's one in the back. Pull it straight up and the cover comes off, and then you can see what the engine looks like. Now what I can show you is right in here, that little blue guy right there is what we're going to be replacing. So you can kind of see here that it looks, I don't know what the hell that is. That's quite interesting. That is quite interesting. That could very well be the reason why it's not working and I'm getting the code, but we're going to replace the valve anyway, so what's the difference? All right, so now we're underneath the car. We're on the driver's side of the radiator here, and you can see where the petcock valve is. You can see right there is where the drain is. Now, what I like to do is I like to take a piece of, just a piece of hose and put it over top of that, just so you're not, like, this is the bottom of the core support here for the radiator, just so when you open this up, it's not getting all over everything here and then just dripping down on you. So if you have a hose that you can get on that, it's probably best off to do that. But basically, put the hose on. You're going to turn this valve to the left to open it up. You're going to let the coolant drain out as much as you can, and then you're going to close it back. And when you close this back up, you really don't want to torque this down really hard. You just want to turn it till it's closed and it's not dripping out anymore. Okay, so I'm going to drain this out now, and then we'll get back at the top. All right, well, while we have that draining out, that is an awesome color coolant there. But while that's draining out, we're going to come up here and we're going to see if we can move some of this rat's nest over here that they have. All these modern the modern cars have all this crap all over the place. So like I said, the valve is here that we have to get to. So what we're gonna have to do is I would disconnect these two to move this harness up out of the way a little bit. This here is a power cable, I believe, that goes down to the starter. I'd have to take a look and see, but this, I already disconnected it from here. It has this little clamp that's attached there. I got to cut this off, and then I'll have a replacement. This will get out of the way. That'll get out of the way. What we have is the valve. It's attached to the engine with that bolt and that bolt, and those two are 10mm bolts. Once those two bolts are removed, the valve will come off the engine, and then we have the hose that's there that unfortunately is underneath that harness there, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to pull it up. But you see that clamp that's there. If we can just kind of finagle it just enough to get out of the way, we can get that clamp off. And then what we'll do is we'll put the new valve in, we'll put those two screws back in, put it back on, put all the electrics in it, and then we'll give it a test. So I'm gonna go roadkill on you here and give you a zip tie moment. So if you find yourself in an engine bay that's all cluttered like this, and you're trying to get to something deep down inside, and you have all these wires and cables and hoses and things like that here, you want to pull things out of the way and just keep them out of your way so you can get to what you need to. Grab a zip tie. The longer the better, so you can get up underneath it. And then just pull it back. Pull it back to a spot where you want it to be. Cinch it down just enough not to screw everything else up. And you have yourself full access to what you need. And now you know. All right, so here we go. We got everything out of the way. Like I said, we pulled this back with a zip tie, so it's out of the way. Got clear access here. I misspoke before. It's not a 10mm, it is a 8mm or a 5/16. So we'll get those two bolts disconnected. Hate living on a busy road and having no garage, but this just goes to show you you can work on your own car in your own driveway by yourself and save yourself a ton of money. Because something like this, I don't even know what they would charge you. It's one bolt. I don't even know what they would charge you, but it definitely wouldn't be a cheap thing, only because of the labor rates and stuff like that they end up charging. This is going to be the tricky one because there's a lot more in the way. All right, so we got this one out. And there we go. And now, there's your valve. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pull it up just a little bit, just so you can see here. All right, that's the tube. I still have this underneath it, so it's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to now pull this off so we can get this off, and we'll just shove it down the pipe a little bit. And what I like to do with these is I just like to give these pipes a little wiggle just to kind of break them free a little bit, because sometimes they get stuck on there. There we go. Looks like it feels loose now. All right, I left struggling with it a little bit here. Finally came out. Jeez, that was less than fun. That did not want to come loose, but this is the valve that you're looking at, and as you can see, this thing has some issues. So replacing this with a new valve should repair that problem. It should clear that code, everything should be good. So let's get this new one on. All right, so here's the new valve. Basically, it's the same as the old one, right? The only thing is you have to watch and look and see to make sure that the new valve has a seal on it. If it doesn't have a seal on it, you want to make sure that you get a new seal for it, because that is what keeps the coolant from leaking, right? So this one comes with a new seal. You can see that it's nice and raised, so it should be good to go there. So we're going to put this guy in. Same way the old one came out. We're going to put this on the coolant tube. We're going to clamp it down. We'll put those 2 bolts back in. They don't need to be over torqued. That's it. I think they're like 37 inch-pounds. I'll double check that, but I think it's like 37 or 40 inch-pounds on these, so it's really not that tight. Just getting it tight enough with a 1/4 inch ratchet would be good enough. And then we'll plug in all of the adapters. We'll put everything back to where it was. We'll fill the coolant back up, and then we'll clear the codes and see how this baby does. All right, it's back on the hose here. We got the screws in. We're gonna put the screws in now into the engine, and then we'll tighten this up. Done. All right, let's cut that off. And then we're going to put this back on the rubber isolator. There we go. That's that. And we'll get our wiring back together. We'll put this one back in here. And this one back on the coolant bypass valve. Then we'll just reconnect our clamps here. And I'll get another zip tie for this right here, so that'll hold back into place. And that's all she wrote for this. All right, so at this point, now what you want to do is you want to get back underneath. You want to make sure that you close off the petcock valve so you're not draining your coolant back out that you're putting in. I'm going to reuse this. I'm just going to put a filter inside of a funnel, and I'm going to pour it back inside here just to make sure that we don't have any particulate that's going back in there. You know, put the filter in it, so that's good. But like I said, go down, make sure that petcock is closed up again, start refilling the system, and then what you want to do is you want to run the engine. You want to just check for leaks, make sure you don't have any leaks around the sealing flange there, and you should be good to go. Go inside, reset that code, and then you should be good until the next time you're going to have to replace that, because you probably will have to replace that again. So do me a favor, if this helped you out, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, because I have much more content coming. I have the Edge over there that is being repaired because I am going to be selling that car. I have my Mercury sitting right over there. She's still, she's still hanging in there, and we'll be doing more work on that. And probably the next video I'm going to do is an ownership review of this 2013 Ford Escape. So I hope everybody's staying safe, and I'll catch you in the next video.